So, what's the real secret behind amazing software? The kind that just works? It's not the code, it's not some super complex diagram, it's actually stories. Yeah, simple, user-focused stories that we call use cases. And we're about to dive into why they are so incredibly powerful. See, the problem is, way too often, software gets built without this blueprint. There's this crucial piece missing right from the get-go, and honestly, it explains a ton of our digital headaches. I mean, come on, you've been there, right? You're using an app, trying to do something simple, and it feels like a total maze. You're tapping away, thinking, this makes absolutely no sense. Well, there's a really good reason that happens. Chances are, that frustrating piece of software, it was born without a good story. It was built without anyone taking the time to really understand what you, the person using it, were actually trying to do. Okay, so to really get this, let's walk through a super simple story that we all know. We'll call it the process sale use case. It's the perfect example of how just telling the story first makes all the difference. So the story kicks off exactly how you'd imagine. A customer walks up to the checkout, arms full of stuff they want to buy. The cashier starts scanning everything into the point of sale system, the POS system. Simple enough? And as each item gets scanned, boom, the system shows the running total. The customer hands over their card, the system does its thing in the background, validating the payment, recording it. These are just logical steps, right? Anyone can follow this. And to wrap it all up, the system automatically updates the store's inventory. The customer gets their receipt, grabs their bags, and heads out. A successful sale, a happy ending to our little story. Now, that little narrative we just went through, that is a use case. It's just a story written in plain text that helps us figure out what the software needs to do. It's all about an actor, in our case, the cashier, using a system to achieve a goal, completing the sale. And this is a super important point, something that trips up a lot of people. Use cases are fundamentally about the text. They are stories, first and foremost. Any diagrams or visuals we make, they're just illustrations of that core story. The story is king. But okay, what about those visuals? Once you've got a bunch of these stories, how do you see the big picture? How do they all connect? Well, this is where we get to start mapping it all out. So, how do we zoom out and get that 30,000-foot view of all the different stories and all the different characters interacting with our system? We do it with this, a use case diagram. Just think of it like a map of all the stories. You can see our process sales story right there, and you can see how it connects to the customer and the cashier. It's a simple, high-level snapshot of what the system does, all from the user's perspective. Now, let's look closer at those little stick figures, the actors. They're not all the same. You've got your primary actor, like our cashier, who has a goal and is really driving the whole thing. And then you have supporting actors, like a payment authorization service, which is just there to provide a service to the system. Making this distinction is, believe me, a huge deal for the developers who have to build this thing. Okay, so not all stories need to be epic novels, right? Just like building a house, you might start with a quick napkin sketch before you draw up the final, detailed blueprints. And that evolution usually happens in 3 stages. You can start with a brief, literally just one paragraph summarizing the main successful story. Then you might flesh that out into a casual format with a bit more detail. And for the really important stuff, you go all out with a fully dressed use case. That's the whole shebang, where every single step and possibility is laid out. So what exactly is inside one of these super detailed, fully dressed stories? Let's take a look under the hood and break down its anatomy. At the heart of every single use case is what's called the main success scenario. You'll often hear people call this the happy path. It's the story of what happens when everything, and I mean everything, goes perfectly right. No glitches, no errors. For our checkout story, the happy path is exactly what we first described. The system validates the payment, it records the sale, it updates the inventory. Smooth sailing, the perfect transaction. But let's be real, life isn't always a happy path. Things go wrong, and that is where extensions or alternative flows come in. These are all the little side stories that branch off the main path to handle any kind of error, exception, or failure. And here is a classic example. What's the condition? The credit card payment fails. So what's the handling? The system signals a rejection, and the cashier knows to ask for a different payment method. Bam! The story now has a plan B. And having a plan B is absolutely critical for building software that can survive in the real world.
All right, so we've gone from a simple little story all the way to a detailed blueprint with alternate endings. But the big question is, why? Why does all of this matter so much?
Well, it really all boils down to this. Use cases force everyone, the designers, the developers, the business folks, to constantly think about the user's goals first. These simple stories become a common language for the whole team, which cuts down on so much confusion. And the end result? You build software that doesn't just work, but feels right. Software that people actually want to use. So let me leave you with a little challenge. The next time you open up your favorite app, I want you to try and look past the buttons and the menus. Try to see the simple story, the use case that's making it all work so beautifully. Because once you start seeing them, trust me, you'll see them absolutely everywhere.